What a difference a day made. Yes, it was hot and sunny yesterday, and it is grey and wet today. Monza, round 12 of TCR Europe, and the penultimate weekend of our championship. A day where we could crown our champion, potentially. But with humidity up in the 80s, 90s, track temperature down in the 20s, and certainly wet patches around the track, this is going to be a real challenge for our front-wheel drive touring cars. Our entry list is as big as we've ever had in TCR Europe for 2021. 28 cars will begin our second race of the weekend. It was an entertaining affair in race one here, as it always is in Monza, a great slipstreaming battle. And now we add into the mix, not a wet track, but a damp track. And in certain parts of the circuit, even a dry track. Watching the Porsche Carrera Cup Germany race just before we go racing. And they were all on wet tyres, but certainly there were areas where the track was dry enough to be on dry tyres. Now, we believe many of our drivers have gone out onto the circuit. They've already done 1 or 2 laps reconnaissance, and we believe that they are on all slick tyres. The man on the pole position is Nicolas Bat. He finished 10th in qualifying 2, and alongside him will be Matto Homola in the Hyundai that doesn't have a great straight line speed, but seemed very happy to be in the slipstream on yesterday's race, and he had a good result in yesterday's race as well. Matto has clean track ahead of him, as does Nicolas Bart. And then we get down to Jimmy Claret, who is in the Peugeot. He had a good run of things and has front slicks on the front of his car, for sure. There is no doubt about that. But of course, remember, the drivers can have slick tyres on the front, but they could also run wet tyres at the rear. Now, that is one way of doing things until those wet tyres get too hot, and then the tyres end up overheating and the car moves around a lot. We did see this in one of our races earlier on the season where we had split wet and dry tyres. Here is Mikel Ashkona on the grid in 4th position. He's our championship leader, and he's the man that could win the championship today, depending on where Franco Girolami sits. Now, Ashkona came to the grid with a split wet and dry tyre strategy, but he has got full dries on. Now, you can see there, look, the patches of dry track, and there's not many of them, and these guys are on slick tyres. So when they get on this warm-up lap, it's going to be, well, very slippery, but they're going to have to work really, really hard to get themselves up to temperature. Dusan Borkovic there, with turbo issues in the second half of the race yesterday. He had the spirit and the fight to potentially take a really good result for Come To You Racing. It ended up being that Tom Coronel was on the podium yesterday. As we look at Isidro Callejas, who was in the wall yesterday, he is gone with slicks on the front and slicks on the rear. So it does look as though, even though the track is not dry on this part of the circuit, we are going pretty much standard full slicks. Now, Coronel told me he was going full slicks. He said it would be silly to do anything else, because if you overheat the wet tyres, they fall apart, as do all wet tyres. And we move further back on the grid to Felice Ielmini, who was one of 3 Hyundai Elantras to get a puncture on the left front tyre yesterday from overheating the inside wall. And the Elantras really did struggle. The only man to get his Elantra to the flag was Nils Langeveld, who will again start way down the field. Nicolas Bart on the pole, alongside Homola, and then Jimmy Claret and Mikel Ashkona on row 2. Borkovic and Callejas, Coronel and Ielmini line up on row 4. And then our front row from the first race of the weekend. Jack Young, who DNF'd, and Franco Girolami, who won. Those that got themselves into the into Q2, Groshek in 11th position. Now, we've had a change for 12th spot because Galash has been demoted a couple of positions, so Martin Riva moves up to 12th. Teddy Claret, who had a gearbox change after yesterday's race, in 13th. Taufik Davidovski, who got himself into good points after starting down in 16th spot. And then we look to some of the guys who are new to our championship, including Lopez and Fernandez in the RC2 category. And a few other drivers at the very tail end of the field. So this is the wettest part of the circuit, coming down into the first corner, into the braking zone at the chicane. Now, all the Porsches that we saw running earlier on, they were staying on the very inside line, on the left-hand side there. They were ignoring the braking zone. They were ignoring the usual racing line because the braking zone was so slippery. It gets slippery because you get rubber into the tarmac, and then the water sits on top of that, and the water becomes like oil, basically. So they stay away from the most used part of the track to gain grip. Again, round Curva Grande, it is not dry. You can absolutely see that. Here is the championship points on the bottom of your screen. Ascona with a healthy advantage over Girolami in the championship here, but remember, Girolami also has to drop a couple of scores. Well, they all have to drop scores, but Ascona has a 0 and a 0, whereas Girolami's dropping something like 25 points. So the gap is large, and if the gap is more than 60 points or 60 points at the end of our race, then Ascona will take the victory. And considering where Ascona is versus Girolami on this grid, we absolutely, well, we don't expect something to happen, but it's going to be an interesting one. Girolami really needs to get a wriggle on. Now we're into the second half of the circuit, and this is where the slicks are going to come into their own, because the two Lesmos and the Ascari chicanes do look dry to me. You can see it's a very different color of tarmac. Now it is still reflective. We're still getting the lights beaming down on it and reflecting, so it's not totally dry, but it's certainly drier. Under the trees again, it starts to get wetter. And then in the open, as we get to the Ascari chicane, back to dry again. Here it is. So braking zone, all good. And as they swing their way through the corners, it's also good. But they will want the grip going through the high-speed corners, the likes of the Curva Grande, the likes of the Parabolica. There is the old legendary banking on the back end of the Parabolica, and that looks pretty dry as well on the outside line. Look, there was a racing line earlier on today where if you held the white line, because you travelled so much less distance, it was actually faster, but now it's dried up on the outside. These guys will all be using the normal racing line. It does mean that it's going to be very difficult to overtake, because offline is going to be wet, online is going to be dry, and therefore on slick tyres it could be very tricky. Let's see if anybody has made the wrong choice. Has anybody played it safe and gone with wet tyres around their lap? We aren't expecting rain during our 20 minutes, but there is rain forecast very soon. Probably not for this race, probably for the GT Open race. And there is Mrs. Borkovic. First daughter Borkovic here, as they have been all weekend, to support Daddy. Second one due in November. And hopefully it doesn't come too early, otherwise Dushan will be having to miss Barcelona. But it shouldn't do. It's not quite the right timing. Sami Taufik lines up in 14th position. Had a good run up until the point that the tyres let go yesterday. Banani starts 20th, by the way. Longeveld 19th. Really, really difficult qualifying. Remember, in qualifying there was a red flag just at the end of Q1, and that caught out the Sebastian Loeb Racing team. So frustration down there for the French outfit, because they could actually wrap up the title for the Teams Championship this weekend, but maybe not anymore. Yeah, look, green flag at the back of the pack. We are going to go racing here in Monza for race 2. It's a great initial bite from Mato Homola. We've got Davidovski, who's not got away at the back of the field, so he's had an initial start, but then pulled out of the way. And here comes Ascona to the inside line. I think he's already got past Mato Homola. Nicolas Bart covers the inside line. In the braking zone, Jimmy Claret around the outside. Franco Girolami is going to try and squeeze his way through to make it 3 wide. He manages to make the corner. And everybody has been able to get through there. I was really worried on their slick tyres that wouldn't be possible, but they have made it through. Bart, Claret, Ascona, and then Franco Girolami up to 4th position. What a great start from the Honda. And he can see his championship rival just ahead. Mato Homolo behind him, though, looking to try and get back 4th position, and there's a good queue of cars behind him. Nicola Bart runs a little bit deep into the 2nd chicane. He will rejoin, but how much time has he lost? Will he lose the lead of the race as everyone else scrabbles for grip? No, he doesn't. Bart stays ahead of Claire, Ashkona in 3rd, Girolami, Homolo, Borkovic, and then the first of the Seb Loeb Racing Elantras. And presumably that will be Sami Taufik from 13th position. No, sorry, it's Felice Jelmini, of course, from 6th spot. Home track for Felice. Knows this circuit like he, well, come here many times to watch Formula One. He lives 20 kilometers away from the track, loves this place. It's the first track this season we visited that he actually knows, which is quite remarkable considering the performances that we've seen from him this year. Side by side further back, that's Klim Gavrilov with cars on either side of him heading down towards the Parabolica for the first time. It'll force him onto a different part of the circuit. Contact between Ashkona and Jimmy Claret. Now Ashkona is on the inside wet line here, so he's not going to have great momentum, but he does hold on to the position. What will the stewards think about that? Here comes Franco Girolami with a lovely stripstream from the Peugeot. He had the momentum as well, was not compromised at the start of the corner like the other two were. And they stream across the start finishing line, and Girolami will be hoping to get past that Peugeot as quickly as possible. Exactly as what we saw earlier doors. They go to the inside line, and a bit of contact there between Girolami and Jimmy Claret as they bounce over the curbs. So far, a much cleaner affair than we saw in race 1. There was plenty of contact, there's plenty of chaos, but so far so good here in Monza. Let's have a look at it again. Yeah, the lightest of touches from Ashkona on Jimmy Claret, but it unsettled him, and ultimately Ashkona taking a position. So what will the stewards think of that? Yves Baclen, our chief steward. We've also got investigations for 3 other cars. All cars at the tail end of the field, Colombani being one. I think there might have been a couple of cars either out of position or changing tyres later. Now, Girolami needs to get his head down, not be distracted by the queue of cars behind him. He has got a really good queue of cars too. Mato Homolo fancies a chance up the inside going into Ascari as Martin Rieber is off at the 2nd chicane. And Homolo down the inside of Jimmy Claret. Easy move from Homolo, but then he gets onto the wet stuff and has a little bit of a swapper on. That's going to allow Claret more momentum out of the corner. And that will also allow the guys behind as well to see if they can get down the inside. Oh, Rieber's had some contact, left rear, and Fernandez is also off the circuit. Green flags, apparently. And Claret's going to lose another position here to Dusan Borkovic, who goes up the inside. Now Dusan will want to be on the drier line around the outside of the circuit because he won't get as much traction being on the inside there. And here comes Felice Jelmini in the slipstream. Coronel's there too, Jack Young's there too, as we still have yellow flags down there for Fernandez's car. If there was contact between him and Martin Rieber. Martin will be very frustrated. He was very, very frustrated yesterday with having so many cars parked up on the side of the circuit. All 3 brutal fish retired out of the race. And Homolo slots ahead of Dusan Borkovic, Jelmini, then Coronel. Jimmy Claret falling down the order like a stone here. I'd love to see Franco Girolami start again, because he was pole position man. He was 10th spot on the start line, and he got himself up to 4th straight away. Oh, yellow flags, and Nicola Bart going straight on, I think, at the chicane. Stewards will not like that whatsoever. Look at, right, here's the start again. Look further back at Franco Girolami. He's on the inside line. There he is. Now he's switching to the outside line. Coronel didn't make a very good start in front of him. That allows him 1 position. And now he's on the outside line. He's already up to 4th, 5th position. And he does make the corner. So it's just an incredibly good start from Franco Girolami. Really, really impressive. Whereas the rest of the field getting through cleanly. Into Ascari once more. Nicolas Bart leads. Second position for Franco Girolami. Martin Rieber creeping along the circuit. He's off the racing line. Now everybody's really tucked up behind each other. Hopefully everybody sees Rieber. Not really much point in getting that car back to pit lane. It's not going to be fixed, that's for sure. I guess the foreshortening of that shot made it look a little more scary than it probably was. Over the line once more. Good to see Borkovic in the mix again. Ascona looking to the inside of Girolami. Girolami looking to the outside of Nicolas Bart. Oh, that's incredible. That's beautiful work from the Argentine to get himself into the lead of the race. Bart just perhaps a little bit cautious on the brakes as Jalmini jumps across the chicane, but got it backed in. There's a little bit of contact further back between Borkovic and Coronel, I think it was. And now here comes Nicolas Bart to try and get him back. Round the outside into the first part of the chicane, which puts you on the inside of the second part. That was beautiful from Franco Girolami, and he gets the car stopped into the chicane as we go into yellow flag zone. We've still got Fernandez's car out here. Coronel, then Borkovic, and I think what the problem there was actually Jalmini coming back onto circuit in front of Coronel, who got out of it, and Borkovic got into the tail of him. Jack Young now gets into the tail of Felice Jalmini. So the yellow flags are flying here. And green flags are on the left-hand side. Okay, so what happened there? That was a pass for second position, and Nicolas Bart had gone off the circuit just before that. Ascona couldn't overtake him because there were yellow flags, but Girolami was able to have a bit more momentum. Now, there is under the Ascona and Claire incident is under investigation. And we also have the Fernandez and Rieber accident under investigation as well. Nicolas Bart now under pressure from Ascona, who's going to try and go around the outside. Bart on the inside line, maybe a little bit of contact between the two of them. It's always just where the camera begins to pan. And Nicolas Bart holding on to that inside line for the moment. Mato Homolo will be going, okay, well, which car do I commit to? Do I go to the inside, do I go to the outside? Which is the better slipstream? Because, of course, also, by him taking the slipstream, that will help the car ahead. Weirdly, it actually gives the car ahead a little bit more speed as well. You don't necessarily need to be pushing coming into the braking zone. Ascona to the outside line, Bart to the inside, and Ascona will do exactly the same as what Girolami did one lap ago, and he goes around the outside and into second position. Bart down to third, Homler fourth, Coronel, Borkovic, Jalmini and Jack Young underneath his rear wing, breathing in the exhaust fumes. Now a straight fight between our two championship rivals. There is no knowing whether we will see Ascona for the final round of the championship. So he needs every point he can get if Cupra decide that he is needed elsewhere. Oh, Mato Homolo down the inside of Borkovic. No way through there. Not really a braking zone, such as the banking. It really helps you carry so much speed. But if Ascona doesn't join us, then there is a possible 60 points available. And if Girolami gets pole position and wins both races, which he really could do, couldn't he? Looking at his form, looking at how he's driving, he could do that in Barcelona if Ascona wasn't there, and then it could be very, very close for the championship. But at the moment, Ascona definitely cannot seal the deal, as the gap would decrease. Remember, Ascona is dropping 2 zeros from his no-show in Zandvoort, whereas Girolami is dropping his 2 lowest scores. First round of the championship, the 7 points he picked up in Slovakia in race 1, and then the 18 points that he picked up at Spa race 2. Ascona looks to the inside line. Is there any space there? Not really. He hits the bollard. Yesterday they were very, very close between the two guys, between the two of them. 72 must maintain racing line. I've never seen that before. I don't know what that means. But Girolami gave absolutely no room to Ashkona when they were running side by side, and a little bit of contact between the two. They both run very, very wide. Ashkona doesn't make the corner, but Girolami does, and this is now two people fighting for the championship. They've all been very, very polite, and they're both lovely, lovely guys, as Jack Young is losing a couple of positions there. But yesterday, through the Curva Grande, they were side by side, and there was contact between the two of them. And Ashkona is now losing a bit of pace, and Nicolas Bart has good momentum here. Bart might fancy a chance of second spot again. There isn't the space. Jimmy Claret further back. Claret's actually gained 2 spots on that last lap. Still got yellow flags at the second chicane, so no overtaking there. And just look how much Ashkona's pace is. Now, contact number 1. There. Second contact there, wheel to wheel. And then Ashkona is unable to make the corner, and reaction from Volcano Motorsport. What is Girolami doing? He's making it very, very hard for Ashkona to get past. That is what he's doing. But look how quickly Ashkona was able to scuttle away from Nicolas Bart. All year we know that the tyres start to give up in the second half of the race. They start losing or offering the grip. The track obviously is getting better and getting drier, but the tyres will be getting worse. Now, Girolami is not, I think basically what they mean by must maintain racing line is he can't do that. He can't wiggle around the circuit too much. Battle for the race, battle for the championship. Hommler in third. Now Nicolas Bart, so he's lost another position, and here comes Coronel. We've got 2 fights as they come across the start-finishing line. Girolami and Ashkona for the lead of the race. And further back, Nicolas Bart on the outside line is going to get back past Matto Hommler here, I think. And Coronel is going to try and find a way through, but Hommler is going to be later on the brakes, gets down the inside and holds on to that position. Ashkona a little bit deep through the second half of the chicane there. Still battling going on. Felice Yelmini side by side with Claret. And that is Claret making his way up through the field on Yelmini. Here is the updated drivers' points. 31 the difference. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. No, 21 the difference. Sorry. So that is definitely not going down to the wire, even if you take away those points from Girolami, the ones that he has to drop, the 18 and the 7. Coronel now in the slipstream of Nicolas Bart. Do you feel as though Bart's struggling in the second half of this race? As we saw from Borkovic yesterday, it was a turbo issue for Borkovic yesterday. That is why he was struggling in the second half of the race. Didn't have any momentum at all. Ashkona really, really flying over the curbs there, had more momentum. But Girolami is going to try and make this PSS Honda as wide as possible. He wants the double victory here. Oh, very, very late on the defensives. That's going to unsettle the car. And Ashkona goes to the outside now. Will Girolami just blend him off the circuit? Yes, he does. That's okay. I mean, I know that Ashkona won't like it, but that is okay. Girolami needs Matto Hommler to get involved here. This is going to be so frenetic as they come across the line once more. We've got 2 laps remaining. Girolami this time very much in the middle of the road. Nowhere for Ashkona to go that time. Further back, Hommler jumping over the chicane. Yelmini and Jimmy Claret still at it. That's for 8th position. Jack Young just ahead of them. Taufik Callejas 10th, Taufik 11th. Sorry, Callejas 11th, Taufik 12th. Again, Girolami, middle of the road here into the braking zone. Oh, Ashkona has gone a little bit deep. Just caught the curb there. Oh, big mistake, actually. Matto Hommler comes through, as does Nicolas Bart. He completely got that wrong, Michael Ashkona. Made the corner, but was so slow out of it that Hommler came streaming past. And now work to do for Ascona to get himself up the points again. This is the first race where he's really had to work for it. It's been so easy for him this season getting past people, but Girolami has given him a proper race. Oh, Ascona's got a 5-second penalty as well for track limits and contact. And a 5-second penalty from where he is right now will drop him down a long, long way. Such is the gap. It'll drop him down to 10th or 11th spot. So suddenly, this has gone from bad to worse. Ascona needs to really get a wriggle on. He cannot be sitting in the traffic. He cannot be being blocked by Hommler, by Bart. One position gain from Ascona. But Nicolas Bart in that slippery Audi should have good straight line speed. Oh, and Hommler's not got very much drive, and Ascona overtaking on the white line on the inside. Hommler's going to lose 2 positions here. I wonder if race control are considering that white line. There is confirmation, by the way, of the penalty, but Ascona back up to second already. Hommler goes side by side with Nicolas Bart, who takes to the runoff area. Borkovic and Jack Young do the same thing. And so Nicolas Bart then handing the positions back, and Coronel gets past as well. So that really didn't work out for Nicolas Bart. Now, that is for contact. That's the contact that we saw at the first part of the race. But it's interesting that they say to Ascona that track limits are a problem as well. Because that here, look, he keeps to track limits. He stays on the circuit, and by doing so, loses so much momentum. But I think we did see a couple of times at the second chicane where he did jump it, kept his foot in, and maybe race control thinks he's gained an advantage. Either way, he's back up into second position now. Hommler third, Coronel fourth. Great run from Coronel, who was third yesterday, and could well be third again today. Just got Matto Hommler to deal with. But actually, no, of course, Ascona sitting second position. You've got to add 5 seconds to his time. So it's not being corrected on the timing screen on the left-hand side, but when we get to the end of the race, it will be. Ascona needs some super fast laps here, but look at the train of cars. There's no field spread at all. It's 10 seconds between first and 12th spot here. So Ascona is going to suffer hugely from that as Jelmini looks to the inside of Dusan Borkovic. No place gain there. Borkovic 7th, Jelmini 8th spot. Now the Elantra in the slipstream. No real progress being made by the guys further back. Benani still 14th, Lankveld still in 16th spot. So that's a disaster for his championship challenge, although, to be honest, he has no chance of a championship win any longer. Such is the massive points difference. Bart, again, with a mistake. Really struggling in the second half of this race. And he will lose more spots as well. 5th position. He was going into the chicane. Here comes Borkovic with more momentum, and surely Borkovic will just go easily around the outside. He does. What about Felice Jelmini? How's that going to work out? Look at the back of shot. Jelmini's not passed yet. Jelmini looks to the outside line, but of course yellow flags are still flying here. Jelmini can't get past. That's a real shame that they haven't been able to move that car, because that's taking away one of our overtaking places. Fastest lap from Ascona. 59.6, the only man below 2 minutes. He's got a 0.8 second advantage. Or, sorry, Girolami's got a 0.8 second advantage, but we are on the final lap, and so he's not going to get closer. The lights flash to try and distract Franco Girolami, but I have to say, he drove a very, very forceful but good, fair race. I know Ascona didn't like the bumping and rubbing yesterday, and there was a bit more today, but look how fast Ascona is going. The lights are flashing. Please make a mistake, he's saying, into the final corner. Please fall off the road to give me a chance at the championship. But there's only one corner to negotiate, and it's going to be enough for Franco Girolami to take a double race victory here in Monza. The checkered flag flies for the Argentine, and he drove a wicked race. Fantastic, forceful race from the Argentine. Second position will go to Mato Homola, with third to Coronel, fourth to Yat Young. Yelmini will end up in fifth position. And where will Ashkona drop down to? 5-second penalty, fifth position ahead of Yelmini. Not too bad, actually. So Girolami, Homola, Coronel, Young, Ashkona, fifth spot, and Yelmini in sixth spot. And you know, Ashkona can't even blame Girolami for that. It was the contact between him and Jimmy Claire that was so unnecessary and you know, definitely not purposeful from Ashkona as well. The lightest of touches, but of course he did make a pass because of it. And he'll know very well that race control would have looked on that and been a little bit unhappy. But we'll get Coronel up on the podium for a second time in 2 races here in Monza. We don't know whether we'll see him at the final round of the championship yet. We really, really hope that we do, because Coronel actually could be on for a third position in the championship. He might even moved up to third in this race as he goes side by side with, oh, Squirrel, watch out. Goes side by side with Girolami to congratulate him. Borkovic ending up in 8th position, losing 2 spots on the last lap to Yelmini and Jimmy Claire. What's Borkovic doing here? Wiggling his way through, desperate to get past. And he's set off. He doesn't want to be hanging around like Coronel and Girolami are. He's got a plane to catch. Great to see Mato Homola on the podium again. Second time we've seen him on the podium. It's been a horrible season for him. He was second in the second race in Spa, but has rarely scored points. And well, coming into this race was down in 14th spot in the championship. So the slightly older Hyundai, so much success in that car. And here are the drivers' points then, just 10 now between Ashkona and Girolami. So Ashkona really cannot afford to miss the next round. Although, of course, remember, there is a 23-point drop score on Girolami's shoulders. So if Girolami scores no points at the next round as well, then he would drop those 2 zeros, and the gap between the two would just be 10 points. Well, we didn't have the rainstorms that we were expecting. It was supposed to be dreadful weather today. It was pretty dreadful when we arrived at the circuit this morning. And I think it may still be dreadful for the GT Open that is coming up this afternoon here at Monza. But for TCR, a slick shod race and a double race victory for Franco Girolami. The engine guy from Honda going, all right, calm down, don't rev it too much, we don't want it blowing up. You only get one engine. But I'd love to see the emotion that Franco Girolami has when he celebrates at the end of races. When he didn't do so well and he lost race victories at the Nürburgring, he was nearly in tears. And yesterday he was nearly in tears because he took race victory. And he's done it again here in Monza.
Hey, not bad for a beginner, huh?
Not bad for a beginner, says Tom Coronel.
Mega race, very good.
Yes, Mato, that's what you deserved this weekend. No doubt about it. Alessandro Mariani, the boss of Yas, down there to celebrate as well. Nestor also there. And how about that? The Hyundai flag is being waved by Mato Homola. And this weekend, it's all been about the Yannick Motorsport guys. Even in practice, they did a great job.
Omola dov'è Omola?
Omola è già, non lo so dove è andato, è andato il cappello.
Lots of Italian gesticulating going on down in the paddock, in the pit lane at the moment. Coronel doing his piece to camera for his own social media. And we will be talking to Franco Girolami in just a second. And I wonder whether he'll thank his team and his family and his girlfriend and his newborn or yet born baby that is coming along soon, that he announced to us yesterday as a new bollard gets replaced down there at the entrance to the pit lane after Ashkanat destroyed the last one. Right, let's go down to the pit lane and chat with our double race winner this weekend.
Franco, second race win of the weekend. Congratulations.
Amazing. I can't believe it, really. I can't believe it. Same. My family, PSS is my family. My girlfriend, my brother, my mother, all my family. All people help me, so I only want to grateful all people.
How much did you know about what was going on with the penalties and with Afghanar?
Oh, I can't imagine, really. When I did start, all drivers go inside in the turn one, and I said, okay, go outside a little careful, but this is the key to overtake maybe 5-6 cars in the second lap. So then I see Ascona and Borgovic a little bit more slow than me, and I saw the yellow flag, and then when past the second chicane, I saw the green, I passed Ascona, and then Borgovic in the turn one respected than me, and thank you for him.
Congratulations. Off to the podium.
Thank you.
Awesome work from Franco Girolami, and I think we got a full house there on the bingo. Girolami wins by, well, 0.1 of a second over Ashkanat, but he drops to 5th spot with his penalty. Therefore, Homola and Coronel will be on the podium. Jack Young got up to 4th position. God, I didn't see that. What a great result from Jack Young in the end. Ahead of Yelmini, ahead of Jimmy Clare, Borkovic Bart, dropping down to 9th in the end. And he will be very frustrated. It's just a few too many errors in the end from the Come To You Racing boss's son. That's what I was going for. Telfik in 11th, KAS 12th, Banani up to 13th by the end, so a couple of points for him and Longueville, but not very many. Best of the new boys, Groshek has been all weekend, finishing in 14th spot. And then those that we lost. We didn't lose many, did we? Considering the battlefield that was left after race one, just Fernandez and Reba getting into each other, and they end up down in 27th and 28th. Davidovsky, remember, he stalled at the start of the race, but actually did get going and finishes 26th. Best junior, Jack Young. Best rookie, Isidro Calles. They'll be up on the podium as well. And the best diamond driver, Sylvain Poussier, for the first time this year. There is Nestor Girolami, rocking the TCR pass today. He had to rip the other one that was around his neck. Coronel's going to have two trophies from this weekend. Second trophy of the year for Mato Homola. And Coronel's getting his phone ready for a bit of social media, so I think he might be live streaming again, boys and girls. Numero uno indeed. For the second time this weekend, unbeatable here with the maximum points. Let's not forget that Girolami was also on the top step of our qualifying. Well, there was no step. He was the fastest man in qualifying. What am I talking about? Picked up 10 points for that. So he has got maximum points from Monza. And that bodes, well, doesn't bode very well for Ascona, does it? Going into our last round in Barcelona in a couple of weeks' time. Number one, Ascona is going to have to be there to win that championship. Isidro Calles getting his bottle open for the best rookie. Not quite sure why we haven't got Jack Young up there as best junior, but I get a bit confused with all those little categories. Don't waste all the champagne. Want to be able to enjoy it in the paddock. We've got all afternoon to sit back and drink some Pommery. Well, great entertaining stuff. There won't be a full paddock of happy drivers. There's no doubt that Mikel might feel a little bit hard done by. He still leads the championship by 10 points, but has a double-zero drop score. So actually the gap is more like 35 points to Girolami. Coronel third, up to third, ahead of Longveld, and Jimmy Claret up to fifth. And there is the rest of the top 10. Hopefully you've enjoyed a great time here in Monza. See you next time.